Hello and welcome to the 2022 Regional Finals for the West Midlands. We're really excited to be here with you live from the F1 in Schools HQ in Brighouse. Don't be alarmed if you hear any sounds of manufacturing. We're in the factory and machines are currently being manufactured as we are recording live for you today. I'm in the studio today with Amy, Nelson, Sam and Michael, and we're all just going to give you a lovely cringy wave. Great stuff. Let's check out what's in store for you during this show. So we're going to start off by meeting all the teams from the West Midlands. We're then going to grab a quick message of support from Autodesk, and then we're going to dive into the racing, which you're all really excited for. We've got the entry class, development class, and then we've got the professional class racing in that order. We're going to first of all, though, go across and just check out a clip to find out what F1 in Schools is all about.
What is F1 in Schools?
F1 in Schools is a global STEM challenge, working with industry partners to provide an exciting and challenging educational experience. A group of 3 to 6 students form a team, think of a name, allocate job roles, and start to design their miniature Formula One car of the future. The teams follow a systematic engineering design process to manufacture and race their cars, making sure they comply with a comprehensive set of technical regulations. To do this, they use professional CAD software, like Autodesk Fusion 360, and manufacture their car components using CNC machines. Once the cars are painted and assembled, they take to the track to race. Powered by compressed gas along a 20-metre racetrack, the cars are capable of speeds over 75 kilometres per hour. The racing is fast and exciting, but there is more to the challenge, as it inspires learning not only in STEM subjects, but wider skills including project management, marketing, teamwork, innovation and communication. These wider skills are assessed by judges from education and industry. At competitions, the teams submit their cars and portfolios and also give a project presentation. F1 in Schools operates globally from ages 9 to 19, with teams taking part in school, regional and national level competitions. With the winners progressing at each stage, only the very best make it through to the World Finals. F1 in Schools is a life-changing experience for all involved, with many success stories of competitors who've come through F1 in Schools and have gone on to achieve significant outcomes in their lives. For some, that means working in Formula One, where the experience of F1 in Schools serves as the ideal grounding for the challenges and demands of elite-level competition.
Well, it's nice to get a good review of what F1 Schools is, but I'm sure most of you guys who are watching today already know what it is and you're eager to get started. So let's move on and let's check out who's competing today in the West Midlands Regional for 2022. So let's see which teams we've got competing as they load from the West Midlands. So on the grid, we've got our entry class teams and our development class teams, and finally our professional class team. So we've got a lot of teams taking part. We've had teams sending in their intro videos as well. So let's move across now and check out who said hello.
Hello, we are Team Blaze and we're from St Edmunds Catholic Academy, Wolverhampton.
Hi, we are Team Phantom and we are from St Edmunds Catholic Academy, Wolverhampton.
We are Team Dash.
Hello, and we're Team Axel from Lisos.
Hi, we're Team Blitz.
And we're from Lisos High School.
Hi, we're Team May Martins from Lisos High School.
Hello from Holt School, we are Holt Falcons.
Hi, we're BV Racing from Bishop Beasley's Grammar School.
We are Atomic Engineering.
We are from Lisos High School and we are
Rapid
Ravens.
We have crazy classes, so it's me, Ben, and we've got Charlie Colley, Jack Seacombe, Noah Williams and Charlie Haynes.
Hi, we are the Kegs. Hi, we are Rapid Racers.
Hi,
We're Celeriton Design.
We are Zephyrus.
Well, that was brilliant to see so many teams sending in those videos. Thank you very much for doing that. Obviously, we're really proud to be part of this STEM challenge for F1 in Schools. So we're just going to go across to one of our main sponsors for the competition at Autodesk, and Matthew Bell is going to give you some words of wisdom for STEM careers and also wish you well in the competition. So let's go out and check out what Matthew Bell's got to say.
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew Bell and I'm very fortunate to look after Autodesk's secondary education initiatives here in the UK. Autodesk are incredibly proud to be the official CAD and CFD partner for Formula One in schools, giving you all access to the very latest in industry-leading software such as Fusion 360 to help to design, visualize, analyze and manufacture your Formula One in Schools race car. Formula One in Schools is an amazing way for you to get a taster into a potential future career in STEM. It gives you the opportunity to sample so many different areas within the industry and hopefully will inspire you to take the next step and look for further qualifications in STEM and the possibility of one day working in the field. And how amazing will it be to one day see a number of you working in Formula One? It just leaves me to say a huge thank you to everybody for taking part in the competition. We hope you enjoy it, have amazing fun, learn so many new skills, and come back next year. So, from everybody here at Autodesk, good luck, have fun, and enjoy the experience.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much from Matthew Bell there from Autodesk, one of our main partners and sponsors for F1 in Schools. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start moving on to the racing, but Nelson is just going to quickly talk us through the format of the racing because it's slightly different to the regular in-person regionals that we are used to.
Well, of course, we miss all of the students with us, but we are going to have to do all of the racing without them. So each car will race 4 times, and it will race twice in each lane. So the lowest team, the ranking lowest team, team number 1, will race in lane 1, for example. And we have a lane swap after race number 2 to race number 3. And it's important to say that it's all about automatic racing, so no reaction times, no hands on the triggers, unfortunately. And all breakages are fixed by F1 in Schools. And very important, only the fastest compliant car can win.
Brilliant, thanks for that, Nelson. So it's time to head over to our racing, and we're going to start with our entry class. And we're going to jump straight in, and Amy is going to introduce our first 2 teams.
Yeah, so the first 2 teams we're going to be having in this West Midlands regionals are Blaze and Phantoms.
Brilliant stuff. 2 fantastic looking cars there. Sam, I wonder if you wanted to talk through any of the stats that you can see here on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Blaze. I really like the front of the Blaze car. I think it really sums up. I mean, even the name Blaze, it looks quite fiery there. The 2 cars seem to be a little bit heavier. I think the regulation is 65 grams, so both of these are over that, but they're quite close to each other. So I think it should be an interesting race.
Brilliant stuff, thank you very much, Sam. Right, well, without further ado, let's head across to the track. The track team are ready, and let's have a look at our first race.
So in lane 1 we have Team Blaze, and lane 2 we have Phantoms.
And there we have Phantom just taking that one with a 1.524, with Team Blaze with a 1.771.
That's brilliant for times there. Really, really good start to the competition. Is there anything that we might expect, Michael, to see with the times as the races progress?
Yeah, possibly. So as the cars go down the track, possibly they may end up getting slight changes to the way they operate. So things like the wheel systems may become a bit loose, or in the case of the late classes that we'll see a bit later on in the show, things like bearings as well they may get hot, they may get dust in them, and so as races progress, there's going to be changes as the cars undergo the pressures of racing.
Brilliant stuff, thanks Michael. So I can see now on the track that the thumbs up from the track team, so we are here and ready to go for race 2. Good luck to both teams.
Race 2, teams still in the same lane, so Blaze in lane 1, Phantoms in lane 2, and off they go.
And that's another win for Phantoms with a 1.589, and the same time for Blaze with a 1.771.
Great stuff. So the track team are now going to be changing the cars over between the lanes. So if we were in an in-person event, Nelson, what would you be expecting to see from the track team at this point?
Well, the track team, what they're doing is they're swapping the cars to a different lane. So taking very carefully the tether line off the tether line guides, because sometimes the cars are quite fragile. So they are doing that very carefully. We have a very experienced track team. So swapping the cars very quickly, getting new canisters in and getting the cars ready to go again.
Excellent stuff. And yes, we have it. Their thumbs are up and they're ready to go. Canisters are loaded. Let's check out race number 3.
So race number 3 with Phantoms now in lane 1 and Team Blaze in lane 2.
And that's Phantoms winning again with a 1.611, and Team Blaze are unfortunately experiencing the slower side effects of a change in lanes, the 1.808.
And Amy, did you, when you were competing, notice a difference between the lanes, or is that a bit of a myth?
I know there's always been a little bit of controversy about which is the faster lane. Some people think that lane 1's a bit quicker, but I don't think there's much in it at all.
Okay, great stuff. So we can see out there on the track, yep, canisters are loaded. Let's head across and check out the race number 4.
Final race for this pair. So we have Phantoms in lane 1 and Blaze in lane 2.
And that makes it a full house of wins for Phantom with a 1.577, Team Blaze with a 1.811.
I think Team Blaze there had quite consistent times, even though we're a little bit slower. So their manufacturing assembly must have been pretty good and nice and consistent to get those times. So well done to Team Blaze. And if we have a quick look at the score, at the
leaderboard.
The leaderboard, thank you, Nelson. At the leaderboard, you can see their Phantoms are placing number 1 with a 1.524, and Blaze are there with a 1.771. So well done to both teams for the first set of races from that entry class. So I think we might as well move on and let's check out the 2 new teams for entry class. Over to you, Amy.
The next 2 racing are going to be Team Dash and Holt Falcon, I believe.
Looking great, those 2 very different cars there. Michael, anything that you'd like to pluck out from the stats?
So on this race, we've got 2 cars that have a slightly bigger weight difference than we saw in the last race. So we've got Team Dash with 83.9 grams and Holt Falcon with 67.9 grams. Obviously, if we apply Newton's second law, so we know that F equals ma, that means that if the mass is higher, for a given resultant force, the acceleration is going to be lower. So if we can decrease the mass as much as possible, we can get a better acceleration down the track, and that of course leads to a faster track time.
Okay, well, let's find out if that's been put into practice with our 2 teams, and let's head out to the track for race 1.
So race 1, in lane 1, Team Dash, in lane 2, Holt Falcon F1, another cool name.
And there we have Holt Falcon F1 winning the race with a 1.4, Team Dash with a 1.626.
So, as Michael said there, the lighter car seems to has made the difference in terms of weight. Is that something that you focused on, Amy, when you guys were competing?
Yeah, I think making sure that you get it to the lowest weight you possibly can is always a key factor. Sometimes taking intolerances into account can really be helpful because you really don't want to have that double ballasting that goes on if you're a bit underweight.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Amy. Right, ready on track. Canisters are loaders. Let's check out how race 2 goes.
Race number 2, teams still in the same lanes. And lights off.
And there we have Holt Falcon again, winning with a 1.37, and Team Dash with a 1.596.
Team Dash, they're improving on their previous time, which is good to see. And did weight, or what other things came into consideration from weight for you when you were competing, Sam?
Yeah, I think weight is incredibly important. Obviously, I think even more so than at times the design. But I think Holt Falcon managed to actually get quite a lot of design work in there. Obviously, understanding the name Falcon implies biomimicry. I think they've designed it off a falcon. I've seen lots of teams designing off eels. At one point I saw a team designing off a pheasant. I don't know how aerodynamic a pheasant actually is, but I've heard of that in the past. So I think biomimicry, obviously designing around an animal through evolution is going to become the best version of itself it can be. So aerodynamics off the same sort of flying creatures makes total sense.
Nice. And pheasants often make roadkill, and I don't know how fast they actually are, but that's a very interesting fact.
Don't want to find one on the track.
Right to that, Sam. So let's hope there's no real roadkill on our track as we head out for race 3.
Race 3, now with Holt Falcon F1 in lane 1 and Team Dash in lane 2.
And that Falcon sure is quick. A 1.445, Team Dash with a 1.611.
Some pretty consistent times from both teams. How important, Nelson, is it to get consistent times?
Well, it's super important because it's not about racing the team that it's in the other lane. That's in the knockout where you actually go for the elimination. But here it is about registering 4 good times. So it doesn't really matter if you have another team on the other lane, although super fun, or if you're racing alone. Most important, log in the good times.
Great stuff, thanks Nelson. So we're ready on track for the 4th and final race between these pairs.
Final race. Let's see if they can do this final improvement.
Well, Holt Falcon definitely won all 4 of those with a 1.484, the same time as previously, and Team Dash with a 1.643.
Let's check out how they placed in the leaderboard then. And we've highlighted the teams that have just raced in orange for you. So every time you see the leaderboard, you can pick out the schools that have just raced. So we've got their Holt Falcon F1 racing team with a 1.370 in place 1. And Team Dash have placed in position 3 with a 1.596. But that leaderboard's looking pretty tight. So let's find out how the next 2 teams place in the leaderboard. Over to you, Amy.
And next on the track, we have Team Axel and, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Ostinetto, I think.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think we'll stick with that one. Some pretty cool colours, and I think we can see potentially a 3D printed car there. And is that going to have an impact in the race, do you think, Michael and Sam?
Yeah, so I mean, in entry class, you get the option to 3D print your car, or you can also hand carve it. Whereas in development class, you have to experiment with different machining methods, CNC machining primarily. And so in entry class, it's a great opportunity to use 3D printing almost to its full capability, sort of in that F1 skills competition. Often what we see though is that the 3D printed cars are really heavy. But if you look at the weights here, we've got a 65.4 gram for Team Axel and 66.3 gram for Ostinetto. So even that 3D printed car is right on that minimum weight of 65 grams, which is really impressive.
Sorry, Nelson, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say that it's important to say that both teams are under investigation.
And what does that mean then, Nelson?
Well, under investigation means that our amazing scrutineering team has found something wrong with the cars. One little reg, or 2 or 3 or 4, that the team may have failed, but some regulations have had a big impact, preventing you from winning an award like fastest car or best engineering. For example, if a car is underweight, we're going to have to put ballast into the car. Although we log on the screen the weight that the car was submitted, is going to race not on the weight but in legal weight, because we're going to add ballast. But basically, if you have failed the regulation, that will have this consequence. You can still win overall. You're just going to miss out best engineering and fastest car.
So you need to make sure that you're watching the award shows that are coming out live tomorrow to see if your team has won any of the awards. So don't be disheartened by the fact that your car might be under investigation. So let's head over to the track now and let's see race 1.
Race 1, in lane 1, Team Axel, in lane 2, Ostinetto.
And there we have a win for Team Axel with a 1.289. Close behind is Ostinetto with a 1.344.
Very fast time there for Team Axel. Looking really good. So clearly the weight might not have had an impact, even though we were close to the 65 gram limit, which is good to see. So let's see Yeah, we've got a thumbs up from the track team. The canisters are loaded. Let's head over and let's see race 2.
So race 2, cars still in the same lanes. And will Ostinetto take it? Will Team Axel?
And it looks like it's Team Axel with a 1.327. Ostinetto very close behind with a 1.348.
Very close.
Very close. So just while the teams are being switched over, it's important to consider as teams designed for manufacture. We know that 3D printing in PLA can, when the car's set, can have a little bit of shrinkage, which can, have an issues with the dimensions of the car. So Sam and Michael, could you shed a bit more light on how that can impact on a car's results?
Yeah, for sure. I think 3D printing is especially, it obviously suffers a shrinkage, as you say, but if you're doing a full car, that's a large car, which means any shrinkage is going to twist and pull and shrink the whole thing quite significantly. Normally when you're 3D printing something small, it's significantly better. So that's normally, that's all that we did. We never 3D printed any cars, but we weren't given the option to.
Well, it's like baking a cake. You may put the batter in the oven, and then we don't really know the size of the cake, but if we take it into the industrial level, we can put tolerances in. So once they manufacture the car body and then 3D printed a part in EBS or PLA, if we have enough tolerances in there, it doesn't really matter if we're going to have a little bit of a deformity. As long as we are in that minimum, maximum, we should be all right.
Great advice, thank you. So we've got a thumbs up out on the track, so we're ready for race 3.
And in race 3, cars in different lanes now. Ostinetto in lane 1 and Team Axel in lane 2.
And that's a win for Team Axel with 1.337. And close behind is Ostinetto with a 1.389.
Both teams posting very consistent times again, which is really, really good to see. So you can, we've got Amy and Max out on the track team today, and what they're doing is they're pulling all the cars back, loading fresh canisters into your cars and putting them into the start gate so they're ready to fire when we move out onto the track for each of the races. So I'm just looking now, and yeah, there's a thumbs up from Max, and we're ready to head out for race 4.
Race 4, final race for these two teams. It's been so close. Who's going to take the final one?
Well, that's answered it. Team Axel, once again, with a 1.291. First time under the 1.3 barrier for them. And Ostinetto with a 1.318, which is so close.
So both teams posting really good scores. So let's check out the leaderboard and let's see where that places the two teams. Wow. So you can see there that Team Axel have come in position 1 with a 1.289. Great time there. And Ostinetto have come in there with a 1.318. So they're in second position. So two really good teams posting at the top of the leaderboard there. So let's move on. Let's see if anyone can beat those teams. Let's have a look at the next two teams.
And next on track, we have Team Blitz and Team Starstream.
Well, we've got two 3D printed cars again there. So anything in the stats that you'd like to pick out, Michael or Sam?
I mean, yet again, the 3D printed car, they managed to get it down to weight. I feel like that's probably due to the fact that when you're 3D printing, generally it prints an outer shell, and then the infill in the middle is mostly air. You can choose how much infill you'd actually like there. So I assume the teams have taken advantage of that. So that's almost a hollow car, I assume. I think a lot of the stats there are actually quite similar. The length slightly different, but the weight both being down almost as low as can go for Blitz is especially important. That's great to see.
So we're expecting 2 fast races, or 4 fast races here from these two cars. So let's head out on to race 1.
So race 1, Team Blitz in lane 1, Starstream in lane 2. Off they go.
And you weren't wrong, they were close, but Blitz taking that with a 1.328. Starstream really close behind with a 1.336.
Some really close times there from these two teams, which is what we're expecting. So, I mean, we saw some nice colours there. We've got the sort of pale pink and that sort of aubergine kind of colour. So, Amy, when you were competing, was the colours or the theme important to you?
Yeah, we really placed a really big emphasis on team identity. That was my favourite part to go for. So we all had matching hair bubbles, matching leggings, matching trainers, everything. We always kitted out in black and green, we were.
Fantastic. Oh, we can't wait for teams to get back in person at the regionals in 2023. And our national final, which I'm pleased to announce, is at Autosport International in January 2022, and that's going to be in person. So let's hope all the teams who come there can get matching, get the team identity flowing, and hopefully impress everybody there. So we're ready on the track. Let's head out there and let's check out race 2.
Race 2, teams in the same lanes. Let's see, Blitz or Starstream?
And that's another win for Blitz, although a little bit slower, 1.359 and Starstream at 1.404. So both cars going a little bit slower this time.
That's great. And Sam, does it have an impact? The cars going down, you know, time after time. Is that going to have an impact there?
I think eventually it's gonna play somewhere on the cars. I think if you run them repeatedly really quickly, it could potentially speed them up. But as they're being battered, especially in-person events, racing and then knockout racing and constant race, that as soon as there's any damage, although I don't think we've seen any damage at all, but I think the build-up of impact in the brushes at the end or something you should be designing for. You should be considering it. You should be making sure that your rear wings are either strong enough or not going to be in contact with the brushes. But I think it is going to have an effect.
Great advice. And in terms of breakages, Nelson, you're always involved with fixing cars at in-person events. We can never find you because you're usually super gluing something back together. How much of an impact do you think that has on the teams as they race after they've had a breakage?
Well, if this was a normal, physical normal event, students will have their own strategies to fix their cars. I mean, the F1 in Schools HQ team has been doing this gigantic effort to fix the cars for the teams. And we've been having all of the cares and being as careful as we can. We have to say that when a car suffers damage, a breakage, it never really goes back to the exact same and how it was. We do our very best, but the wings may suffer a little bit of a different angle. But that's life, isn't it? There's damage, we fixed it, and he's ready to race again.
He's ready to race, absolutely right. So there's no damage in that race, just to confirm. But let's head out. The team should have swapped. Let's check out race 3.
Race 3 with Starstreams in lane 1 and Blitz in lane 2. It's important to say, Tom, the damage can happen before the finish line and after the finish line. To be continued.
Blitz with a 1.357, but Starstream taking that very, very close race with a 1.351.
Again, really close racing here. And Nelson, you want to finish with the damages?
So I was saying the damage can happen before the finish line and after the finish line. So if it happens before, that's actually a DNF because the car did not finish as a whole. Sometimes a wheel may come off, a wing may come off. If the damage happens in the deceleration system, that means that the car has finished in a complete form. So there's no penalty as long as they can fix the car quickly enough for the next race.
Brilliant, great stuff. Really, really insightful, Nelson. So let's head out now and let's check out the 4th race between these two teams.
Well, 4th and final race, Starstreams against Team Blitz. Lights off.
And Blitz taking that final race with a 1.347. Starstream very close behind again with a 1.376.
Brilliant racing. So close. Excellent consistency from both teams. Well done. So again, let's move over to the leaderboard and let's find out how the teams are getting on. Brilliant. So you can see there that Blitz with a 1.328 have managed to get into 3rd position, and Starstream have got into 4th position with a 1.336. And I think you could tell they were going to be close together because of how consistent the times were between the two teams within that race. So let's move on and let's check out our next 2 teams, Amy.
And the next 2 teams taking the track are A. Martins, I think that might be my favourite one of the day, and Rev to the Max.
Brilliant stuff. So Sam and Michael, do you want to pick anything out from here?
So the first thing to point out is, like we saw earlier, we've got another 2 cars that are under investigation. So that means that they haven't fully met our scrutineers' checks on the regulations. Other comments is that if we have a look at A. Martinez, I've probably pronounced that completely wrong, I'm very sorry. But if we look at their rear wing, it looks like they've gone for a swept back wing design. This could be to do with stability, it could be to do with drag reduction. So it's nice to see that they've obviously put some research into what they can do with the rear wing.
Brilliant stuff, and sorry to the teams here if we are pronouncing your names wrong. It's always a lot easier in person when we can actually chat through what your names are, but they're looking fantastic, these cars. So let's get out for race 1 and see how they get on.
Right, so in lane 1 we have A Martins with Z in Portuguese. So that's a different way of saying it. And rev to the max in lane 2, Amy.
And A Martins winning that one with a 1.324 and rev to the max at 1.382.
Wow, we've got some really close racing again. Can't wait to see the leaderboard at the end of these races and find out where these teams are placing. So let's just check out onto the track. Yeah, the canisters are being loaded by the track team and we are ready to hit the track for race 2.
Race 2, so teams in the same lane. It's so great to see that in entry class, teams can get so flexible in the way that they have to build their cars, isn't it?
And then we have A Martins. I've obviously given them a lot of luck with a 1.336 and rev to the max at 1.427.
Who knows, hopefully rev to the max might go a bit quicker in lane 1. But again, it's about consistency. It's about trying to get that best time, you know, across all 4 races, which really is important, especially for the leaderboard. So we're lucky in the studio to have our alumni here. So Sam and Michael are actually just going to give you a couple of tips on hints on how to be successful in the competition.
Yeah, so myself and Michael competed for 4 years in the past, competing at 2 different world finals, and yeah, we decided we'd try and give a bit of an insight of some of the things that we learned. So the first one is that every competition is a learning experience, either online or in person. We started competing in 2014 knowing that we wouldn't make it to a World Finals because the competition we were taking part in did not have a World Finals in place. But we knew getting that early on experience in the entry-level competition was really important for making sure that as we move up, we'd be in a position ready to move on.
Absolutely. Our second tip is to play the long game. We competed for 4 years, and across this time we realised that you've got to learn each competition, each step along the way. It's very easy to try and stick with the same ideas or to think that you're going to get things right the first time, but that's not always the case. So in F1 Schools, it's really important to play the long game. As a quick example, this was our team's first logo. Whilst it looks all right, it looks better, much smaller, and on the large screen, you may not be able to see on the cameras, but it's really blurry. When we first designed our team brand, we didn't think about scaling things up and getting things ready for large competitions, for branding, for pit board displays and things like that. Scroll on a few years, we designed our new logo, and we were really proud that we developed over the years that we competed, and we encourage you to also do the same.
Well, that was a great insight. Thanks for that, Sam and Michael. We'll go back and get more of their hot tips as we move through the region. So let's get back to the track and check out how Rev to the Max and A Martinez are getting on.
This is now race 3, so then in different lanes. Rev to the Max in lane 1, A Martinez in lane 2.
And there we go, we have Rev to the Max coming in first with a 1.484 with A Martins at 1.516.
It looks like the teams have been really consistent and pulling out some great times there as well, so it'll be really interesting to see how they place on the leaderboard. So we're just looking out on the track and I can see that we've got a thumbs up, the canisters are loaded. Let's head into the final race of this pairing.
A Martins, we do apologise for all the different A Martins and A Martinez. But in lane 1 again, the same team's final race.
And that was a bit of luck for A Martins with a 1.386 and Rev to the Max 1.389. Such a close race there.
Really close racing. Really close racing. So let's check out the leaderboard. Remember, looking at 2 teams in orange. So A Martins there with a 1.324 in 3rd position. So well done there. And Rev to the Max placing there in 7th. So well done to Rev to the Max with that 1.382. And if you're looking there, the positions are really close. The racing's close. So well done to all the teams so far. And I think now we're moving on to our final 2 cars of entry class. So if you would like to introduce those, Amy.
Yeah, and then we have the Rising Racers and JLFC.
Great stuff. Again, it looks like we've got 2 3D printed cars. So over to the technical pundits, Sam and Michael.
Yeah, again, a pair of really close matched cars on weight there. And also 2 cars without any regulation brakes. So I think this is especially important. Some different, I mean, overall the cars look very similar, but I mean, immediately looking at the rear wings, they are interesting different approaches there. So it'll be interesting to see yeah, how the track time pans out.
Great stuff. Let's find out. So I think they're ready on track. Let's head over for the race 1.
So race 1, in lane 1, Rising Racers and JLFC in lane 2.
And there we go. We have another 2 close races, with Rising Racers taking it with a 1.322, JLFC with a 1.379.
Yeah, great racing. It'll be interesting to see how they place as well. All the teams recently coming in with those 1.3s, so really, really tight, and that leaderboard's really heating up. So are they ready on track? The canisters have been loaded and they're ready to go. Let's see how they perform.
So race 2, cars in the same lanes. Let's see who's faster.
Well, there you go. Cars definitely heating up. It's like an oven out there. Rising Racers with a 1.343 and JLFC with a 1.349. So close.
You mentioned about the racing there and it being hot like an oven, Amy. Does it actually make a difference, the heat or those kind of elements on the cars and their performance?
I always think it does, especially when we get to the later classes when we've got some bearings in there, because heat is always good for bearings, just to get a little bit more the lubrication in them. But all of the canisters will be refrigerated, so they should all be at exactly the same temperature to make sure that no one has any unfair advantages.
Excellent, great stuff. Well, that's given the track team enough time to switch over the lanes, and Max has given us the thumbs up, so let's head over and check out race 3.
So race 3, teams in the opposite lanes now. JLFC in lane 1 and
Rising Racers in lane 2 coming in second, 1.387. Sorry for Rising Racers, and then JLFC with a 1.344.
Oh, great stuff there. Well done, Amy, for stepping in on Nelson. Lost his lines there.
Almost forgot that one.
But again, yes, some really, really tight racing. And again, it's about that consistency, and it's about making sure that all 4 of those times are consistent as possible, because we've not got the knockout racing, we haven't got that reaction time, but we will do when we're back in person at the Nationals and for next season. So all these entry class teams here would love to see you back next year, maybe as a development team, and having the opportunity to develop slightly more difficult cars against more difficult technical regulations. You can find all those on the website. So they're ready on track there, the canisters are loaded. Let's head out for race 4.
Race 4, cars in the same lanes. Final race for this pair.
And JLFC take that one with a 1.407, with the Rising Racers 1.418.
I think I jinxed it there, didn't I? Both teams posting a slower time than normal there, but let's see how that's affected the leaderboard. So we can see there that the Rising Racers have got in position 3 with a 1.322, and JLFC have come in position 6 with a 1.334. So well done to both teams. I think what's really important here when we're thinking about the leaderboard, Nelson, is the competition isn't just about the racing.
No, it's not about the racing. There's lots of stuff happening in the background with judges from all around the UK judging portfolios, verbal presentation videos, pit display videos. So yeah, it's not just about the car, it's about being balanced in every single judging category.
Excellent. And we've got the award shows tomorrow. I think I've already mentioned that. So please do tune in to find out where you are up to and what awards you might win. So I believe that was the end of the entry class. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to head back out for some more words of wisdom from Sam and Michael. So make sure you're tuned in to find out how you could potentially develop your team next season.
Yeah, so immediately on the pen, it's not going to help. Yeah. Mistakes do happen in F1 in schools. I think that was an important lesson that we learned early on, is that mistakes are something that every team's going to come around. I feel like we had a lot of significant mistakes in our time, especially this one for me, adding a little signature onto the bottom of our email that went out to every single sponsor that we sent them off to begin with in the competition. It does not make us look very professional. It does not do much for my street cred, I wouldn't say either. But yeah, I think it's important to know that there will be mistakes within F1 in schools, but every single mistake is a learning experience. Every single mistake is going to help you in the future not make that mistake. But also, I think it's important to point out to judges when you make a mistake. So in verbal presentations, it's quite like refreshing for them to hear when things have gone wrong in the same way as things going right. It's just extra things to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, mistakes, but there we go. And tip number 4, experiment with roles. So this one's a big one for me. So when I started competing in F1 in schools, I was the marketing manager for our team. But as I was doing that for the first year, I was looking over at all the stuff that Sam was doing in the design and engineering section of our team. And I started to get really interested into all the CAD and all the sort of design and research and engineering that was going into it. From that, I then, the next year, so in our second year of competing, completely changed from a marketing role to a technical role. And I worked with Sam on designing, sort of researching and developing our team's car. And from that, I'm now coming into my final year doing an engineering degree and hopefully pursuing a career into motorsport. So experimenting with roles can really help you find out what your true passion is, and that's the great thing about F1 in schools. It covers so many different categories, and it's a great way to find out what your passion really is.
Brilliant advice, guys. So yeah, make sure you are experimenting with the roles, changing with each other, and coming up with new roles, as Michael just said there. And well done to the guys, very coolly went through the mistakes. We are live here, so they did a great job with that, and it just shows that mistakes do happen, but you've got to just get on. And I think some great advice to talk to the judges about your mistakes and how you overcame them. So, exciting times now. We can move into our development class. Without further ado, Amy, would you like to introduce the first 2 teams?
So our first 2 teams racing in the development class are BV Racing and the Racing Lions.
Some cool looking cars there. So, Nelson, what is the main difference between entry and development class when we're thinking of scrutineering?
Well, entry class is quite special because you can actually manufacture the car 3 ways. You can hand carve it, you can fully 3D print it, and you can do it using a traditional CNC machining process. But in development class, you can only use the CNC machine. So both classes have the no-go zone. So this is an area where you can definitely not cut into it. And a common thing between them too is they need to use the standard wheels. So no bearings, so standard wheels, standard axles, and axle guides. So the regs are a little bit more complex in development, but that's to get you ready for pro class.
Excellent stuff. Right, well, I think we're ready on track for the first race, so let's head out there now.
So BV Racing in lane 1, Racing Lions in lane 2.
So there we have a win for Racing Lions with a 1.311 and BV Racing close behind with a 1.376.
So not quite breaking that 1.2 barrier there. Michael, would you expect to see the times a lot faster in this class versus the entry class?
Yeah, definitely. So another big difference between the entry and development class is the minimum weight regulation. So in entry class, our minimum weight regulation is 65 grams. When we move into the development class, that goes down to 60 grams. And so you'd anticipate faster track times. We'll see later on that when we get to professional class, that weight restriction drops right down to 50 grams. And that would be where we'd expect to see possibly the fastest car times of the day.
Well, exciting times. Let's get out onto the track. We've got a thumbs up from Amy and Max. Let's go and check out race 2.
So race 2, cars still in the same lanes, BV Racing in lane 1 and Racing Lions in lane 2.
And there we go, Racing Lions posting a time under 1.3 with a 1.289, BV Racing with a 1.423.
In your experience of competing then, Sam, were the times conflicting? Were they different? Each time you race with different cars, was there a lot of difference for you?
Yeah, I think we quite struggled with the design of the car. We were never towards the top 3. We were normally the sort of top 10 area, and yeah, all the cars were totally different. I think there was normally one car, no matter what, was a bit slower than the other one.
Fantastic. Right, I think that's bought us enough time to head out on track. The canisters are loaded, the teams have been swapped. Let's go on with race 3.
Race 3, now in different lanes. Racing Lions in lane 1, BV Racing in lane 2.
Slower time from BV Racing there with a 1.411, Racing Lions with a 1.348, taking the win.
Some consistent racing again from the 2 teams. Again, it'll be interesting as the leaderboard fills up to see where these teams are placing. So just having a quick look out of the studio, I can see that we are ready to race. Let's check out the 4th and final race of this pairing.
Final race. Let's see if it's going to be Racing Lions or BV Racing.
And that time it was BV Racing with a 1.401, Racing Lions with a 1.442.
Four great races there. Getting a bit slower towards the end, so maybe those brushes were having some impact on the cars there, but well done to both teams. So let's see the leaderboard then. So our first two teams loaded in. We've got the Racing Lions in position 1 with that 1.289, a really good time to start off with, and BV Racing with 1.376, not too far behind. So let's move on and let's check out the next two teams, Amy.
So there we go. Next two teams racing are Hell Speed and Red Square Racing.
Two cool looking cars there and some interesting designs. Michael, would you like to mention anything?
Yeah, at this point it's probably good now we've just started into the development part of the competition to mention another big difference between the classes. So in entry class we had cars that had a minimum weight of 65 grams. We're now in the development class, and so the minimum weight is now 60 grams. When we get to the professional class later on, that drops right down to 50 grams. And so as we go through the races today, we'd expect to see the cars across the three classes getting quicker due to that lower mass. Talking about the mass as well, you can see that Red Square Racing is quite close to that minimum regulation with a weight of 61.3 grams. So it's great to see that they've obviously noted the difference between entry and development and have tried to get as close to that weight as possible.
Excellent stuff, and we will have a leaderboard at the end with all of the three classes together so you can see how you've performed against the other classes. So without further ado, let's head out and check out race 1.
Race 1, in lane 1, Hell Speed, and in lane 2, Red Square Racing.
So despite Red Square Racing having the lighter car, Hell Speed actually takes that one with a 1.319, Red Square Racing a 1.409.
Really interesting. Sam, have you got any thoughts there on what potentially could have happened for Red Square Racing?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure what could happen. I think the heavier car is going to make an impact. I'm not sure if I saw some weaving down the track. That normally slows cars down a little bit. I just see that Max is quite aggressively waving that the track's ready again. So.
Oh, fantastic. Let's head out and check out the next race then.
Race number 2, team still in the same lane.
And there we go, Red Square Racing with a time that we'd expect with a 1.283. Hell Speed still quick though with a 1.353.
Oh, so more like it there from Red Square Racing with their time posted a bit quicker, getting under the 1.3 seconds. So hopefully we'll see some more of that as they continue racing, and hopefully Hell Speed can get out, get out of the oven and fire a fast time down the track. Having a look out the window. They've switched the teams over. Amy's giving us the thumbs up. Canisters are loaded. Let's check out the next race.
As expected, teams are now in a different lane. Red Square Racing in lane 1 and Hell Speed in lane 2.
And there we go. We're seeing a more consistent quick time from Red Square Racing there with a 1.288. Hell Speed with a 1.465.
Some really good times. Very consistent again, which is really important. Amy, what was the buzz like when you were competing in the racing part of the shows?
I think that was always the most nerve-wracking part, was the racing, because that was the only live element that you really did. So I think a lot of pressure's been taken off without any of the reaction racing, because that was always the bit that really scared me, because I used to push the button.
So maybe a bit better for our teams then this year. Fantastic. Right, we're ready on track. Let's see the 4th race of this pairing.
4th race, final race for these two. Red Square Racing or Hell Speed.
Well, there we go. They saved the best for last with a 1,000th of a difference between the teams. Hell Speed with a 1.308, 1.380, and Red Square Racing with a 1.381.
Wow.
Wow, really, really close. So let's see how that places our teams in the leaderboard. So you can see there that Red Square Racing, quite a light team, quite close to the 65 gram mark with a 1.283, just pipping Racing Lions to the 1st position, and Hell Speed there in 3rd position with a 1.319. Some excellent racing there. So let's check out our next two teams, Amy.
And the next two cars that will be on the track are Atomic Engineering and Celeraton Design.
Wow, some cool cars. Very bright finish there from Atomic Engineering. And what about the stats, Michael and Sam?
Yeah, I think, as you say, the colour there looks a bit like a nuclear oven or something. I think the weights there are going to play a big part in it. The 74 grams compared to the 61, a 13 gram difference is pretty big when you consider, like, as a percentage heavier. That is a lot. So I think it's leaning one way immediately, but you never know.
Let's see if that's how it figures out when we get out onto the track. The cars are ready to race. Let's go and have a look.
So in lane 1, Atomic Engineering and Celeriton Design in lane 2.
Well, I've got to say, Sam's not making very good predictions. Atomic Engineering going faster with a 1.447. Celeriton Design, the lighter car, going 1.52.
What other parts of the assembly, Michael, could play a part if it's not the weight? What other parts of the assembly could be important?
So it's often how the wheels go onto the car, so you want the wheels to be as aligned as possible. If you get a wheel axle slightly misaligned, that can of course cause the swerving on the track that Sam mentioned. That means a longer track distance and so a shorter track time. There's loads of other factors, but that's maybe one suggestion for you, Tom.
Brilliant, thanks very much for that. Right, let's get out on track and see race 2.
Race 2, let me just say that rear wing on that car looks amazing, very creative.
And there we have Atomic Engineering winning again with a 1.505. Celeriton close behind there with a 1.547.
So the track team are getting their steps in today. They're running up and down the track and grabbing the cars and bringing them down lane as we say. If you think they've done that for every race so far, and then we're continuing that until we finish this region. So yeah, their step counters are working overtime, and I can see them smiling out on the track there as they can hear what we're doing in the studio. And they have switched the cars and loaded the canisters. Let's go and check out race 3.
Race 3, cars now in different lanes, so Celeriton Design in lane 1, Atomic Engineering in lane 2.
And that was quick for Atomic Racing with a 1.467, with Celeriton Design at 1.581.
Some pretty close racing. I love that angle, seeing the cars just come over the finish line. You can see how close the racing is there, which is absolutely great to see. So just looking out now onto the track, and they're loading canisters into the cars, and we are all set for race 4.
Race 4, still in the same lane, Celeriton Design in lane 1, Atomic Engineering in lane 2.
And that's another win for Atomic Racing with a 1.506, Celeriton Design with a 1.558.
Really close, and again, that angle is really exciting to watch, but not as exciting as in person, where the national finals and regionals for 2023 are going to be held. So let's check out the leaderboards. Let's see where our two teams placed. So you can see there that Atomic Engineering have placed in position 5 with a 1.447, and there in place 6 you've got Celeriton Design with a 1.520. Well done to both teams. So without further ado, let's move on. And Amy, would you like to introduce the next two teams?
And the next two teams that will be on track are the Rapid Ravens and the Rapid Racers, so which is the most rapid team?
Wow, that's yeah, that's a draw, isn't it? Right out of there. So let's head over to Michael and Sam really quickly for an update on the stats.
Yeah, again, two cars are very similar weight, but totally different design philosophies, I think. I feel like the Rapid Ravens are more almost development class general standard of just doing the no-go zone and then a chamfer, whereas the Rapid Racers have tried to design something extended on top of that. So the fact that they've got that down to the weight that they have is impressive.
Well done to both teams then. Well, let's see if that transfers into quick times. Let's out on the track for race 1.
Lane 1, Rapid Ravens and Rapid Racers in lane 2.
And that's a win for the Rapid Racers with a 1.395. Rapid Ravens posting a 1.423.
Wow. Close racing, two rapid teams. No pun intended there. So let's just have a quick look out on track. Yep, teams have been pulled back. Canisters have just been loaded this second. Let's head out for race 2.
Race 2, teams still in the same lanes. We only swap after race 2.
And that time it's a win for the Rapid Ravens with a 1.290. Rapid Racers posting a 1.305.
Wow, two really improved times there. Sam, what was your favourite part about entering the competition?
I think my favourite part was the fact that you knew sort of where you were before you went into it with most of it. So I think the portfolios, we were pretty confident were really good. I think we know our abilities in the verbal presentations are always good for us, but then when you turn up to the competition, it's meeting the other teams and then putting your car out on track, and that was always the suspense, the sort of unknown area of it, which I think adds to the excitement. Not good for the old nerves, but no, I really enjoyed entering and going in person or watching online. I'm sure it's the same, not knowing what's going to happen in the racing.
Great stuff, brilliant advice, great insight there. So the teams have been switched lanes. Let's head out onto race 3.
Race 3, now with the Rapid Racers in lane 1 and the Rapid Ravens in lane 2.
And there we have a second win for the Rapid Ravens with a 1.283. Rapid Racers posting a 1.342.
Great times again from both teams as they move through the races, getting those consistent times in. Hopefully they'll be placing as high as possible in the leaderboard. So one race left in this pairing. The track team are ready to go. Let's head out there for race 4.
Race 4. I can bet you, Amy, that this is going to be a rapid race. Now the racers are the Ravens.
And this time it's the Rapid Ravens with a 1.286. Rapid Racers posting a 1.322. Very consistent times from both teams.
Great stuff. Really good racing there. So let's check out the leaderboard and see where these two teams have placed. And Rapid Ravens, as you can see, they've taken the joint first spot there with a 1.283, and the Rapid Racers are positioned in 4th place with the 1.305. So two really good times there, placed themselves quite high up in the leaderboard. So let's move on and let's check out the next two teams, Amy.
Well, let's see if either of these can knock off the number 1 position. We've got Penta Racing and we've got the Clegs.
Great stuff. And the stats there, Michael, I can see that one team's fairly close to the limit with the weight.
Yeah, so the Clegs have got right down to that sort of minimum weight regulation of 60 grams with 60.6 grams. And so that's going to be a really useful in terms of minimising that inertial mass that needs to be accelerated down the track.
Fantastic. You can see that both teams have been flagged as under investigation. So somewhere along the line, they will have broken some scrutineering rules or regulations, but you can find out more in the awards show tomorrow. Right, let's head out on track for race 1.
So race 1, Penta in lane 1, the Clegs in lane 2.
And that's a win for the Clegs with a 1.337. Penta posting a 1.494.
Again, some pretty decent times coming out of the development class for the West Midlands. Really exciting to see this racing. We're really pleased to be coming live from the F1 in Schools HQ in Brighouse at the factory. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Let's move out and check out race 2.
Race 2, still in the same lane, so Penta in lane 1, the Clegs in lane 2.
And there we go, Penta taking that one with a 1.469. The Clegs taking a 1.482. So it looks like Penta were quicker that time.
Penta a bit quicker there, and the Clegs slowing down a bit. I think the delicate front wing might have had something to do with that time, Nelson, potentially?
Well, yeah, let's think that every time a car races, the pressures that it suffers during racing, every time it hits that deceleration system, it just unbalances the car a little bit or just distort a little bit the positioning of the wing. It still basically looks the same. What kind of damage has the car been suffering from race to race?
Let's find out. I think the cars have been changed lanes now and we can check out race 3.
Race 3, now the cars in different lanes, so the Clegs in lane 1 and Penta in lane 2.
And that's a win for the Clegs with a 1.34, with Penta posting a 1.419.
So Penta with a really consistent scores, and the Clegs sort of going up or down with their times, winning 2 races and coming second in another race behind Penta. So one final race for this pairing. Let's head out to the track for race 4.
Race 4 and final race for these two teams. Let's see who takes it.
And the Clegs takes the final race with these two pairs. 1.345 1.54 and Penta's taking a 1.471.
Again, very consistent. Well done to Penta. The assembly and manufacturing of their car must be really good because they've provided consistent times in each and every race. So let's see what that's done to our leaderboard. So you can see there that the Clegs have placed in 6th position with that 1.337, and Penta are in 8th place with their 1.419. 2 respectable positions, so well done to both teams. So I think we might be moving on to our final race, so let's check out what the team, Amy.
Well, this one knocked the top spot. The Crazy Carters are racing next.
And any final points of view from you, Sam or Michael?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting design. It seems almost go-kart like if you remove the chain surrounds. It does look like the name entails. It looks quite low. It looks like the body around it is quite large. Impressive. They've got the weight as low as they have there. A long wheelbase compared to a fairly short car, which is good. Getting the wheels as far back as possible. It's sort of controversy in F1 whether a long wheelbase or a short wheelbase is better. Mercedes and Red Bull going for total opposite approaches there, so it'll be interesting to see how this one works out for them.
Great stuff. Well, let's find out and let's head out on track for race 1.
Race 1, so the Crazy Carters in lane 1, that's where they start. And there we go. Now, the racing system is going to take a little bit of time to give us the results because it's waiting to check if there is no cars racing in lane 2.
And there we go. We have Crazy Carters with a 1.360.
Oh, well done to the Crazy Carters there, posting a really, really strong first time with that 1.3. Really, really respectable time. I noticed there's no rear wing there, Michael, on the car. Is that going to make a difference to the car as it moves down the track?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a number of different things that could result into a rear wing. Typically in Formula 1 would be aimed at producing downforce. Here at F1 in schools, we don't so much normally want downforce because it's a straight line track, and so teams often go for a more neutral design. By removing the rear wing completely, maybe we're losing some frontal surface area, and so we're maybe going to reduce the drag, and so create a faster time down the track. Does it meet the regulations? That's a different question.
That is a different question indeed, and the car is under investigation, so you can find out in the award show tomorrow, the Crazy Carters. Let's move out for race 2 then.
Looked quick. Let's just wait for the DNF to show. And there we have a 1.359 for Crazy Carters.
Wow, really consistent time again. Looking good, flying down the track. Who knows if that rear wing or absence of a rear wing is having impact on that car. But we can find out shortly as the car changes lanes. And Nelson, it must be hard work changing lanes at an event, the amount of cars that go through racing.
Yeah, and we need to be extra careful when we're changing lanes just because we're taking the tether line through the tether line guide. Sometimes they're very fragile, very assembled with nothing but a little bit of a drop of super glue. But we've managed, cars are being swapped, new canisters are being put in, and they're ready to go.
And we've got a thumbs up out on track, so let's see race 3.
Race 3, of course, now with Crazy Carters in lane 2.
And it looks like lane 2 might be a faster one for Crazy Carters. Just waiting. There we go. Yeah, it is. 1.345 for Crazy Carters in race 3.
So no curse of the commentator there, Amy. Luckily for you. While we wait for the system to upload, we just wait for that short time that we've got there. But Crazy Carters with that 1.345. Really consistent times all around the 1.3 area between the races. So we can head out now onto track for the next race.
Race number 4 for the Crazy Carters. They're not crazy at all, and they're racing alone. But it's not about winning against the other team, it's about the times that they are logging. So they're off. So just waiting for the system.
And there we go. Crazy Carters post a 1.468. A little bit slower than before, but still a good time.
Maybe I did curse them as the commentator there, saying how consistent the Crazy Carters were. And they're coming in with a slightly slower time there for their fourth and final race. So let's have a quick look at the leaderboard for development class. So we've got Crazy Carters there, position 7 with a 1.345. So well done to all the teams in development class. I think there's some subtle differences between development class and professional class. So Michael, would you be able to just enlighten us with some of the slight differences or the challenges that you might face from going from that development class to a professional class team?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course the way that F1 in Schools is structured is that the design for entry class are supposed to be slightly easy, the cars are supposed to be slightly easy to design. As we get to development class, they get slightly tight on the regulations. And by the time you get to professional class, there's a really long list of quite precise regulations that you've got to fit your designs in, but also be creative around. Another big difference I highlighted earlier is our mass has now gone right down to 50 grams, and that's quite difficult to achieve and manufacture. And other changes are for entry and development class, you've got the standard issue wheels and wheel systems. Now we get to professional class, you get to experiment with bearings and 3D printed wheels of your own design.
Amazing, exciting stuff. So let's head on into the professional class now, and let's check out the first couple of teams then, Amy.
So the first two professional teams will be taking the track are, oh, that's a hard name to pronounce, Sopralanto, and then we have, oh, another hard name, Zephyrus.
I think you did well there, Amy. I'm glad it wasn't me saying that. So we mentioned about the weight there, Sam. We've got one team close to the limit and one team not.
Yeah, exactly. I think getting down to the weight is the most important part of F1 in Schools racing. I think aim under 50 grams and then slowly build it up with paint is the ideal solution. I think the designs there are totally different as well. I think one car, I think the Sopra, I've run myself into a trap there. The car on the left.
Sopralanta.
Yeah, exactly. Have an interesting front wing with sort of scoops at the front wheels to direct air over it, whereas Zephyrus have gone for a more basic design, just deciding that the simplistic approach is more appropriate for F1 in Schools.
Fantastic. Well, let's see what happens. Get on track for race 1. Exciting times.
So Sopralanto in lane 1, Zephyrus in lane 2.
Go off.
I think Nelson did the best of the pronunciation there.
Absolutely.
Sopralanto taking that one with a 1.144, very quick, and Zephyrus posting a 1.306.
Wow, that was a really quick time. Really, really nice to see that. And well done. So clearly getting down to that limit of 50 grams, I think it was 50.6, has paid dividends there for Sopralanto. Now we're just looking out onto the track. The canisters are being loaded and ready to go. Let's go for race 2.
So still in the same lane, so Sopralanto in lane 1 and Zephyrus in lane 2.
Sopralanto winning, but going a little bit slower with a 1.257. Zephyrus posting a 1.449.
Time slowing down a little bit for both teams there. I wonder if the impact of the deceleration system is potentially causing any issues there. Did you notice lots of issues with your cars and designs, Amy, hitting the deceleration system, or do you manage to design around that?
Yeah, so we were actually part of the years that you had to make your own deceleration system. So I think the Denford deceleration system is a lot easier to control, and it's obviously designed to slow the car down in the most effective way. So we used to have to run down to the end of the track and put towels down there, which obviously didn't always work, so a lot of the time we had broken nose cones.
Interesting times. Right, let's find out if the teams have been switched lanes, and let's head over to race 3.
Race 3, now with Zephyrus in lane 1 and Sopralanto in lane 2.
Wow, and Sopralanto going a lot quicker with a 1.101, and Zephyrus also going quicker with a 1.420, but wow, that time from Sopralanto.
It's a great time. That's the fastest time we've had so far from a pro team in this region, even though we've only had 3 races. But let's see what the teams can do as they race again and head into race 4.
Race 4 and final race for these 2 teams. Let's see who takes it.
And Sopralanto again going consistently with 1.14. Zephyrus posting a 1.435.
Well, Zephyrus at least creating consistent times, which is great. So clearly the manufacture and assembly is really good. And Sopralanto obviously producing those really quick times. So let's have a quick look at the leaderboard there. Sopralanto there with that 1.10 on, really quick time. So well done. And Zephyrus with the 1.306 in their first race, posting that fantastic time. So we've got one more race for you. Let's introduce the team, Amy.
And the one team we have racing right now is the Mechanicals.
So, any stats that you can pull out from there, Michael?
Yeah, so once again, I mean, looking at the weight, we're sort of 56, so we're sort of midway between the sort of minimum for our professional class and the midway minimum for our development class. Looking at the car as well, it looks like a really nicely sort of designed car. I also like the way that they've managed got the two colours. It looks like a nice smart car as well, so maybe that'll help them go faster down the track.
Let's hope team identity's looking good. Let's see if that helps them on the racetrack. Let's head out now for race one.
Race one with the Mechanicals in lane one. Funny story with this team, we weren't quite sure what to call them, if worst place scenario or the Mechanicals, but we chose the Mechanicals in the end.
And the Mechanicals have a 1.499. I don't think the name is very catchy, Nelson, so we'll keep going with the Mechanicals.
Yeah, I guess they were just a little bit insecure in terms of what calling the team. Sometimes teams merge. I don't know what's the story there, but I'm sure the kids would love to tell it.
Yeah, if you're watching now, worst place scenario or the Mechanicals, make sure you post into our YouTube chat so that we can see the story behind that decision. And yeah, worst place scenario is not quite as catchy as the Mechanicals, so we're going to stick with that one. And let's head out on track for race two.
Race two for the Mechanicals. Again, just to reinforce that, it doesn't really matter they're not racing against another team. The most important is to log 4 good times. We're just waiting for that.
And there we have it. The Mechanicals posting a 1.399.
Well done to Mechanicals there, breaking the 1.4 second barrier. So, Michael, you've obviously competed in a number of competitions and you've travelled to a few different countries. Would you like to give us a quick insight into where you've been with F1 in schools?
Yeah, absolutely. So me and Sam competed together, and in 2017 we got to go to Kuala Lumpur for the World Finals there, and actually got to witness the last Malaysian Grand Prix. And also in 2018 we got to go to Singapore. Both trips were amazing, so it just shows you the amazing opportunities that F1 in schools can lead to.
Absolutely amazing. And hopefully some people watching this stream now might be getting that opportunity through the Nationals and onto the World Finals. Fingers crossed for you all. So let's head out on track now for race 3.
Race 3, now with the Mechanicals in lane 2. Are they going to go faster?
Wait a minute before I tell you, Nelson, if they're going to go quicker.
Yeah.
And the Mechanicals post a 1.390.
So it looks like they are getting a bit quicker with each race. So hopefully in their 4th race, they'll be able to post an even quicker time and get themselves quite high up or competitive with the other teams in the professional class on the leaderboard. So let's head out to the track for the last race and let's see what they get.
Last race for the Mechanicals in lane 2. Come on, Mechanicals, you can do this. You know, just quickly waiting for the system to confirm that race time.
And there we go, the car heard you, Nelson. It went a lot quicker this time, the 1.319.
Oh, well done to the Mechanicals posting that time there. Fantastic. So let's see what that's done for the leaderboard in the professional class. And you can see the Mechanicals there in 3rd position with that final score of a 1.319. Well done. Pretty close between Zephyrus and the Mechanicals, but Sopralanto with that outstanding time, the 1.101, really quick, so well done to that team. But don't forget, it's not just about the racing, it's about all of the other elements that have been submitted, that have been judged upon. So check out our award show that's coming out tomorrow to find out what awards you have won. So it's time now for the final leaderboard. So let's have a quick look. We've got plenty of teams here So you can see there, Soprolanta with that time that we just talked about. But what's really, really interesting here is to see Rapid Ravens and Red Square Racing from the development class with the 1.283s getting in amongst it. And Team Axel, well done to Team Axel from the Enterprise class with the 1.289. Now that's something we don't see all the time, Nelson.
Definitely not from Enterprise, Tom, but for entry class, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Nelson. That's really helped me out there. So a great finish to this region, and me making a mistake. But mistakes do happen, as we learned from Sam and Michael. Yeah. So you just have to forgive me for that one. And we are live, so that does happen. Hopefully the bloopers will be really funny to watch. It just leaves us now with the opportunity to say thank you to all the teams and all the teachers who've got involved from the West Midlands region in 2022. You've waited a long time from the delay. You've done an absolutely amazing job in all three classes, and that's entry, development and professional. We're really proud of you, but we want to see you back tomorrow for the award show, and we'd love to see you back next season as well. Registration is open, and you can sign up and put a team in with the regionals planned for March and April and a national final planned for June or July in 2023. So look out for the links. And finally, just want to say a massive thank you to Michael and Sam, Nelson and Amy, and finally from myself, Tom. Well done to all the teams, and we'll see you all very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.